to organize cross-racially. We have to organize on class solidarity grounds to make sure that we have elected officials in this new system of government that will respond to people and community, right? Not to developers, not to fat cats, not to people who are like in the steam room at the Mac Club right now, making decisions about our future, that will think about young people, that will think about immigrants, that will think about unhoused kin. Like, we really have to take this moment of the next 18 months to be prepared for local elections, not just talking about Trump and Biden. Local elections where the rubber meets the road, where these decisions that Nicoya talked about a max line, that get decided in very small rooms and very few people. We have to be there to participate.
Hello, but affordable housing, what does that mean? What is their plan? Like, we need to go to city council meetings, we need to sign up to testify. It doesn't take much of our time. Y'all, we spend as much time on Instagram making a post as it would take you to be on Zoom doing it. Like, it's real easy to do, and to reach out to folks that are doing that work, like Imagine Black, a great organization, or the Displacement Coalition, like all of these, there's so much that can be done. And I would say, as an artist and designers, like, the new Negro movement was a beautiful thing, and collectively as artists and designers, as architects, as urban planners, they came together and also created art around it. I think art and design are really powerful tools that we can also use in organizing together and creating work around displacement and gentrification and teaching folks. So that's a healing space. Like, this soil in Oregon has so much healing to do, and individually we all have to do our part in order for it to continue. So
there are people that understand the political landscape. There are people that, they're the helper. They just want to do something, and so they're going to type up the letter, and they're going to put the postage on it, and they're going to drop it off and print the flyers that are on the walls. Then you have the convener, the people that bring us together to have the conversation. And then there's they use the language rebel, which is fine for now. But, there's the rebel, who are the people whose faces whose voices they're the ones that are like the loudest in the room. They're often underappreciated by some folks. But each role is distinct, and each role has a job, and each role is necessary. And so I would say to get in touch with what your role is in a social change movement, and to be thinking about how to push yourself along that spectrum.
Like, I think therapy is really important, because sometimes, like, a counter effect of having a bunch of people together in a shared space who've been collectively traumatized, who are looking to address their trauma, sometimes there can be, like, intra-group dynamics that kind of re-traumatize. And so I think, like, one of the healthier ways that we can come together and, like, support each other in helpful ways is showing up as individuals who are at peace. And I think finding peace is like a place to begin.
There's a group of us Black faculty and scholars at Portland State who are working on collecting some oral histories of folks who have been involved in community safety and neighborhood projects, specifically around alternatives to policing. We did a lot of intergenerational work to try to not only to hear from our elders, but also to make sure that we are hearing from youth, and then bringing those bridges all together. Like, we transmit in our families stories and culture intergenerationally, and it's really important to develop a practice of how we can do that, not just with the fun stuff, right? The auntie music, but also with the stories of things that sometimes are painful and are difficult.
Are always reaching out to our elders to understand how to move forward. The woman that's mentoring me in this new role is an elder. She's 85 years old. She flew here with her husband in the 40s. And so making sure that I understand what she went through, not only the stories about the painful stuff, but it's also understanding what aspects of this place did she love and what aspects of brought her here.
I think it's important for us to recognize the value that people bring across the age spectrum. So every team that I'm a part of, also like Jocelyn said, is intergenerational. I think the most seasoned person on our team right now is in her 70s. We also have young people that are in high school. I think it's important to have that diversity of perspective and guidance and leadership and like decision-making authority on our teams.
How the history of our organization, which is Multnomah County, has kind of had, kind of traumatized or kind of discriminated against specific classes of people. And so I listen to their stories, or if they're not around anymore, I kind of dig up, read their stories, and then we create policies to make sure it doesn't happen again. If we can get people to write down their promises and then make investments towards what you are doing, like an actionable promise, we're going to put this amount of money towards recruiting, hiring, and retaining people for the long term. You've set up a system where you have requests that can be input, and once they agree to it, you can see whether or not they fulfilled it or not. And you also have a longevity of investment.
We do things that we can do now to mitigate harm while we also try to practice and develop new spaces like taking ownership, like community land trusts, like fighting for eviction representation for all, like fighting for tenant opportunity to purchase so that people can come together and buy their apartment buildings that they live in, and other things that we need that are sort of right now at the margins, but we need to start pushing those margins out and expanding them.
I agree. I think that we need to be having more of these conversations in general, as we're celebrating the liberation of Black folks, still keeping in mind like the work that needs to be done, but also still having like a positive outlook. Like I agree, these kind of conversations should be happening in a lot of different spaces. Give everyone a hand.